Hello, and you're very welcome back to Good Morning Belfield. Now we have our first guest of the show. We are delighted to be joined by Students' Union President Conor Viscardi. Conor, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Thanks very much for having me.
Oh, look, thanks a million for taking the time. You're a busier man than ourselves. I think that's
a
fair
lot
to
busier, I'd say.
Yeah. First of all,
It's
Conor,
all the illusion.
it's all the illusion. Yes, of course. Keep the light on overnight.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're just over 4 months into your tenure, Conor, as SU president, excuse me, and going into a job like that, I'm sure it's quite daunting, and you've lots of expectations and fears coming into a job as such. So has it met your expectations, and what's it been like the last 4 months?
Well, I suppose when I went into the role first, the most daunting moment at the start of the summer when Marcus said, "Right, Conor, good luck, there's the keys and off you go." That was the most daunting moment, because there is a lot of responsibility attached with the role as well, because of the nature of the organisation that UCD Student Union is. Of course, we've responsibility for the commercial activities of the shop, and of course fulfilling our democratic and a representational role. So in line with that idea of responsibility, it is a very heavy role and a very heavy position, but I do enjoy it a lot. And when you get a lot out of it as well, because the more work that you put into it, I suppose the better the outcome, and that's the philosophy anyway. So trying to keep that momentum going is the main thing.
That's it. Perfect. Excuse me, my throat's got to be. I'm just a bit flustered, Conor, in the presence. So I suppose news that's relevant to campus. I mean, you have to deal with campaigns and to lobby for certain things on a weekly basis. And one of the things that you've brought up recently is the cuts, I guess, to library staff and to funding in general.
Yeah.
Now, just reading a statistic there put up on the Students' Union Facebook page, staff in UCD have been cut by a whopping 36% over the last couple of years. Do you think that's evidence in itself that there should be more funding allocated to third level education?
Yes, definitely, because when you look at the areas that were cut, it's mainly the core supports that students actually require for them to kind of excel within their studies. So you look at the library, for example, that's one of the key cornerstones of a university, where you get your information and where you do a lot of your studying. It's a safe space as well, where students can excel in their coursework. Also as well, key things like the access centre and student counselling and the welfare department within the university. Those are other things that have been targeted by the absence or the general kind of reduction in funding. I think since 2008, I think the approximate reduction in overall core state funding was €448 million. So there's a huge deficit there. Now, of course, that extends to all higher education institutes, but of course UCD being the biggest one also has been severely hit, and as we can also see as well by the statistics that have been released.
For sure, yeah, the university rankings, for example.
Yes, exactly. That's an excellent example, yeah.
All Irish universities across the board have dropped.
They've dropped a considerable amount, especially since when we were in first year now. You've noticed a significant drop from where they were to where they are now.
Definitely.
Unfortunately.
But
plus, I know Johnny loves the library so much. He was very concerned about it.
You spend all your time in the library, Johnny, don't you?
I mean, that's my favourite place to go. It's my happy place. Other news relevant on campus, and one of the most prevalent issues, I guess, since colleges started, that I've seen anyway across campus, has been the whole repeal the 8th campaign. And obviously there has been an independent group set up, the UCD for Choice group, and a lot of people think that this is a fantastic idea and are behind it, but then there's obviously some people that are confused as to why it's been set up and whether it is I guess associated with the Students' Union. Just in your own view, what are the foundations of that group, and what is its relationship with the SU?
Well, I suppose in all honesty, the reason that organisation was set up, because it was something that we did notice from previous years, that it's very important to empower students, especially on issues like that. So what we did decide to do was to set up this grassroots movement to ensure that there wasn't a top-down but a bottom-up approach to this idea of people getting active behind this issue. Another important consideration as well, that perhaps some students don't even know what repeal the 8th means, and that's entirely fair. They might know what abortion is, might know what pro-choice or what pro-life, all the different stances. But by empowering students to talk amongst themselves and to campaign actively on it, the effect is a lot more effective, essentially, if you like, opposed to just always coming from the sabbatical officers of the executive team. In terms of the relationship between UCD for Choice and UCD Students' Union, we have a democratic mandate to be active on the issue of repeal the 8 and also to take a pro-choice stance. But by delegating the kind of the activism and the representation for UCD for Choice, we're empowering students democratically, while giving us a bit more space as a union to fulfil that role subdivided off from ourselves. Of course, they are associated and they are affiliated with us, and we do support them and give them advice and resources, but it is very important that that group was set up to facilitate that dialogue and that democratic representation.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, it's that can be, you know, an audio clip, I think, that should be played back to a lot of students under the comment section on various social media outlets.
Like even when we were recruiting for Union Council as well, there was a few people like within the pro-choice people that were like the idea of becoming a class rep was canvassed to them. But equally, when pro-life people approached us as well, we equally said the exact same to them: become part of our union and discuss these things at Union Council as well. And it's not just like kind of political jargon. It is something that we do genuinely believe at, that if people aren't happy with us taking a pro-choice stance, by all means they can challenge us on it, bring it to Union Council, or even what the UCD for Fair Representation are doing, totally within their rights. Yeah,
perfect. Also, speaking of referendums, I suppose last year there was you know, a bit of a buzz around the USI referendum, but on both sides, I suppose, of the spectrum. As a student union you know, president, and also as a sabbatical officer, do you think, you know, being out of the Union of Students of Ireland has any sort of effect on your day-to-day work and as president?
Well, I suppose, like, as you're well aware, we're the largest student union in the country. We represent 32,000 students. I'd say, like, because I'm relatively young, of course, as well. I was never in UCD when we were affiliated with USI, so I was never entirely familiar with that dynamic and how exactly it would play out. From my own perspective, on a day-to-day, I get on with it. I do have very good external contacts as well. I liaise relatively a good amount of the time with student union presidents in the GDA and also across Ireland as well, just on particular issues. Another thing that we do as well, we also do our own active lobbying as well with different government departments to forward the interests of students. And we have a very extensive alumni network of former UCD Student Union sabbatical officers, which we use as contacts, and also government ministers to highlight things like fees, cuts in education. Another thing we're also looking into as well is the impacts of Brexit on the mobility of freedom of mobility of international students, and we even went to the European Parliament in Brussels to discuss that with MEPs. So we'll be moving forward with that. But to answer your question, I the students decided to disaffiliate, reinstate the disaffiliation with USI. From my own perspective, it doesn't have a huge impact on me. Whatever the students decide, I'll get on with it and do as best as I can. But I think that even with the fees protest there on the 19th of October, which I'd actually actively encourage students to go on as well, that we were invited by Annie Hoey of USI, and I did have a phone call and a conversation with her, and there is goodwill there and everything like that. So there is this is always in the interests of students to always highlight the issues as effectively as I can for UCD students.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
And can I ask, Conor, do you have any upcoming plans in the next few months that you yourself are particularly excited about or looking forward to?
Well, one thing that we're going to do is that we're going to have International Week in week 9. And we're going to collaborate with all the international societies. I think as a university, it's very important to have International Week and to promote cultural diversity and social inclusion. Because as you're well aware, there are certain figures and individuals, of course, which have spearheaded or get a lot of coverage in the media that doesn't necessarily promote multiculturalism. As you know, we're Ireland's global university. So, and as a standpoint, as a union and fulfilling our fundamental objectives, it is very important that we do promote the cultural diversity of our students and the positivity that can come out of it. So that'll be very good as well. And there'll be a few social events attached with that as well as some serious
always good to
elements
hear.
To it. Yes, exactly.
That's brilliant. And even this week alone is a huge week for the Students' Union. I mean, you've got council that's happening later on, and council is one thing I just wanted to touch on as well. Yes, so that's actually open to any UCD student to pop in.
Yes, indeed, any union student can pop in, and actually, even rather interestingly as well, it's class reps and campaign coordinators, and of course the exec, which is the sabbatical team and the college officers. They have speaking rights. But if you show up as a student from UCD, you can raise your hand and someone can pass speaking rights to you. So you can get involved in the debate as well. So like I definitely encourage if any students want to come raise something with the sabbatical team, the exec, or indeed the class reps, they're more than welcome.
Brilliant. That's taking place now today, and it'll be happening every 2 weeks this semester.
Yes, exactly, 6 to 8.
6 to 8 in the Fitzgerald Chamber. Also as well, this week we have the consent workshops, the Restart a Heart workshops. They are something that I guess we'd recommend students to get involved in too.
Yes, definitely. If students would like to sign up to the consent workshops, they can go on to www.ucdsu.ie/consent, and they're able to sign up to them there. They'll be held in the quad on Wednesday. And all details you'll be able to find it on the Facebook page.
Perfect. Good stuff. And last but not least, I guess Lána Gaeilge is taking place tomorrow. And then that'll obviously be something we'll touch on a lot later with Owen McDonald, something you're very aware of. And it will coincide with a new initiative that you've introduced in the clubhouse, which is Trad Tuesdays, if I do believe.
Well, actually, Trad Tuesdays isn't going to be running this Tuesday because we actually got Fionn Rua and Owen got Fionn Rua.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So Trad Tuesdays, we ran it there for the first time a few weeks ago, and it was a great success. So what we're doing is that we're bringing in we're collaborating with TradSoc, and we have an open session where all musicians are able to attend, but we're also bringing in professional trad bands as well to play as well. So I think there's a great demand for trad music, and it's kind of like the buzzword of trad, like people like from the country, and indeed people from Dublin as well. When they hear that word, they think of Christy Moore and the Dubliners and all this sort of thing, But our next Trad Tuesdays will be Trad Tuesday will be on the 25th of October.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Exactly.
Fantastic. And that creates a buzz, especially for the students coming over from Erasmus or international exchange.
I would think so. They'd love to have that kind of experience, to see kind of what they imagine is very much typical Irish culture.
Yeah. It is 100% true. And yourself, you were in Utrecht, of course. Yeah. And of course, I presume one of the things you were most interested in was
Dutch music. Traditional Dutch music was great.
Well, traditional Dutch music, but even just the way of life that they engage with.
No, it's true. Yeah.
And it is we're I suppose a touristy country. A lot of people come here, but then we become tourists and we go abroad as well, of course. So always to be conscious of that and to facilitate international students and express and highlight our culture in the best way possible is something that we're prioritising this year as well.
That's perfect. And last but not least, I guess, I know you're a busy man, we won't keep you too long. The question I think that's given to every Students' Union president, both before and after their time, is can UCD Ball logistically happen on campus this year?
It wasn't in my manifesto now, and I know the last two presidents consecutively very heavily lobbied for it. There's quite a few complications there to do with health and safety, the scale of the event. As far as I'm aware, because of the wide range of different stakeholders that are involved, between like the people who are involved with managing the campus, the university management, and also the guards in Donnybrook, they play a huge role in it as well. So trying to tick all the boxes of those three different groups prove very difficult. In saying that though, I can't make any guarantee. Like, we'll definitely be having a big end of year event. Whether it's on campus or not is yet to be seen, but I think in the interests of promoting and fostering, I suppose, if you like, a UCD identity or the Belfield community, a UCD Ball actually would play a huge fundamental role in that. Because that is something that we always are very conscious of, that we always try to have as many events on campus as possible. Because when you think about the amount of students that we have here, the space that we have, it's about utilising and maximising that space to ensure that students can actively engage with the campus and also with each other. So yeah, we'll see what the crack is. But no, I can't make any promises.
That's no problem at all. Well, Conor, look, we really appreciate you taking your time out to be our debut guest, and we definitely started this show off with a bang. We wish you the best of luck in your tenure, and we might speak towards the end of your time as SU president.
Not for the wrong reasons, I hope.
Perfect.
Thanks, Johnny.
No problem at all.